It's Wildcard Wednesday on the Michele Tafoya podcast. Please hit subscribe. You never want to miss a Wildcard Wednesday or any of the other incredible interviews we have coming up. Today, we're going to highlight the Trump speech. It wasn't a State of the Union, but it was a joint session of Congress that the president spoke before, and there were plenty of highlights. The man knows stagecraft. There's no doubt about that. Whether you like him or not, there were some really heartwarming moments, and then some things that the Democrats and the Democrat media, quite frankly, did that might make you want to puke. So stay tuned. We're going to have it all for you. You know, it started really with sometimes there's a rebuttal. The day yesterday started with a prebuttal. The Democrats on Capitol Hill got together and did a weird thing, but it got attention. I'm not sure they're going to be thrilled with the results of this attention. It started with 1, and then it went to 3, and then it went to about 22. We're just going to show you what we mean. Let's start with the 3 speeches right on top of each other. Go ahead, John.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day 1.
That ain't true. That's what you just heard. Since day one of Donald Trump's presidency, prices are not down, they're up. Inflation is getting worse, not better. The prices of grocery, gas, housing, eggs, of essentials, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has done nothing.
All right, so you can see what's going on there. They were all given the same script. Maybe they tweaked it a tiny bit, but they weren't the only 3. This thing it like multiplied like bunnies. So then we ended up with a bunch more. Let's roll this for you.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day 1.
Okay, so you get the idea there. You get the idea. This was the prebuttal to last night's speech. And it just looked silly. I mean, handing people these little mics, sitting them in the same spot in their rooms and reading the same script. It's talking points. So if every single Democrat thinks alike, if every single Democrat votes exactly the same way, are they then representing their constituents? Because I'm thinking Chuck Schumer's constituents in New York are a little bit different from Elizabeth Warren's in Massachusetts. I don't know. But they're all sticking to a script, which seems to me to suggest that they don't care about their constituents. They care about their messaging, their fundraising, and their party. And that's it. And if I were one of their constituents, I'd be pissed, as I was at Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith for not stepping up for girls and women in sports the other night when not a single Democrat voted for the Girls and Women in Sports Act. Oh, but they all wore pink last night. Yeah, because they support women so much. So that was the prebuttal. And then the president entered the chamber last night, and it was pretty clear. We had clues about what might happen, but right from the get-go, we saw this is a minor incident, a minor incursion, you might call it. Watch your screen closely. Roll it, John. There's the little sign. This is not normal. And someone from the other side of the aisle is going to reach in and grab it. Take that sign away. Crumple it up. This is not normal. That's the message that they're going with. This is not normal. What is not normal? It's vague for a reason, folks. It's vague for a reason, just like fully fund education, just like we'll be supporting you for as long as it takes. It's vague on purpose. This is not normal. What is not normal? What is not normal? I mean, get specific. I think a lot of people are really liking what's going on in the country right now, and these Democrats don't seem to appreciate that. Next was a slightly more major incursion. Congressman Al Green, not the singer, the congressman, he got tossed. He decided to shout And it wasn't just one thing. Like you heard shouts throughout the night. You heard things like lies, false. But this went on and on. Let's roll Al Green, John.
Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the sergeant-at-arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Members are directed to maintain decorum, which was basically the message from the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. So Al Green left. He was the first one to leave. I think there were people who trickled out during the night with messages on the backs of their shirts, like there are no kings here. But anyway, after he left the chamber, Al Green was interviewed, and it went on for a little while, but we're going to play you a snippet. Somebody asks him a question about, is yelling in the chamber the best way to get your message across? Let's roll this, John.
Is yelling during the speech the best way to get that across? It is the best way to get it across to a person who uses his incivility against our civility. He is a person who has consistently been used incivility against civility.
Is that what you said?
Well, look, I'm willing to suffer whatever punishment is available to me. I didn't say to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I'll accept the punishment, but it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
Were you saying you have no mandate?
Okay, so his claim is that the president's going to cut off all these programs. I haven't heard that, but that's what his claim is. And he wanted to answer incivility with incivility. I didn't see anything within the speech being uncivil, but that's the way he chose to do it. Made a bit more of a name for himself last night than he already has by trying to impeach the president multiple times on really stupid premises. It's quite remarkable how the Democrats chose to respond. Not only is it remarkable, it's disappointing. It looked so childish and sophomoric. And really, the president had the last word on so many arguments. Particularly, you tried to keep me out of office. You tried a lot of ways to keep me out of office. How'd that work out for you? Let's roll number 4, John.
And we have ended weaponized government where, as an example, a sitting president is allowed to viciously prosecute his political opponent, like me. How did that work out? Not too good. Not too good.
Use some humor throughout the night. And that was one of them. How'd that work out for you? But here, to me, maybe the most poignant, I'm not sure if poignant's the right word, the most impactful thing the president might have said last night, or one of them, okay? I don't want to score them all, but was when he called out the obvious, when he called out Democrats. And he said it before that no matter what he does, they're going to hate him. No matter what he does, they're going to hate him. And you saw it really in stark relief last night because they sat throughout the entire thing. There were things worth cheering for. They refused. That entire side of the aisle refused to stand or clap or applaud or smile at anything. And the president knew that was coming. So he sort of gave his prebuttal of that with cut number 5. Let's roll it, John.
And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way.
I agree. It's sad, and it shouldn't be this way. I remember one of the president's State of the Unions when he said America will never be a socialist nation, and certain Democrats stood up and cheered. Not one of them stood up and cheered. They all got the memo. Nobody cheered, nobody clapped, nobody smiled, nobody do anything. No matter what he says, no matter what. And we're going to show you some things that happen where they should have smiled and cheered and stood up, but refused. Instead, they had those stupid little paddles you saw them holding with certain messages that they could, false, don't cut Medicare, save Social Security, all these messages that are supposed to scare people. You're going to throw Granny off the cliff kind of stuff. That's all they did. That was their contribution last night. So one of the things, and I mentioned it earlier, has to do with men in women's sports. And really this comes down to this gender ideology that I saw a stat this morning that trans surgeries have tripled since 2016. 2016, not 1916. Since 2016, they have tripled. Now, granted, there's more access to them now, and the developments are there, but this is a phenomenon that needs looking at and is getting looked at. But the president made it very clear that in America, there are two sexes. Let's roll number 6, John.
And I signed an order making it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. I also signed an executive order to ban men from playing in women's sports.
You saw Riley Gaines there standing next to Matt Walsh, who's a conservative commentator. I just noticed that there were some men on the Republican side and some women wearing pink, men in pink ties. I think that was a little bit of a, you know what? You're not going to own this, Democrats. You're not really supporting women these days. And they're not. Abortion isn't the only thing women care about. All right. So Trump made more of this moment by bringing up the story of Peyton McNabb, who was on this podcast in its first year. In our first year, we did a lot on this topic because it matters a lot to everybody. It matters a lot to men, but it's got to matter to more women, and more women have to be brave enough to speak out about it. Peyton McNabb is one of those young women because she was directly impacted by this. I'll let President Trump tell the story. Let's roll cut 7.
Years ago, Peyton McNabb was an all-star high school athlete, one of the best, preparing for a future in college sports. But when her girls' volleyball match was invaded by a male, he smashed the ball so hard in Peyton's face, causing traumatic brain injury, partially paralyzing her right side and ending her athletic career. It was a shot like she's never seen before. She's never seen anything like it. Peyton is here tonight in the gallery, and Peyton, from now on, schools will kick the men off the girls' team or they will lose all federal funding.
Let's remind people that this is not anti-trans. This is pro-women. See, it's all in the framing. So on the trans side, they'll call this anti-trans and transphobic. No, well, I am a little bit afraid of a guy hitting a volleyball in my face or punching me in a boxing ring. So that makes me, I guess, phobic of pain. Pain phobic? I'm sure there's a term for that. But this is not transphobic. Like, we're not telling anyone you can't identify the way you want to identify. What we're telling you is you can't take your talents to South Beach that way. You can't just suddenly decide I'm going to play on the women's side of things. There is a women's division for a reason. We've gone over this ad nauseum. I'm always amazed that this needs to be discussed, but it still does, because in Minnesota and at the Senate, in the United States Senate, they cannot vote to support the idea of protecting women's sports. Not a single Democrat in Minnesota, not a single Democrat in the United States Senate. It was the same night. It happened the night before last. Not one of them would vote for this. Again, are you repping your constituents or are you repping an ideology? And if you're constituents of these people, you may want to ask yourself why you're voting the way that you are. It's disgraceful. I mean, this one is basic. Also basic, common sense, is the border. We're going to get to that after I tell you about Sleep Cream, because I was able to sleep great last night thanks to Sleep Cream. It's a pure, very natural CBD product that you apply at bedtime and it helps you sleep. And I know it sounds a little like, no, that's too good to be true. In a way, it is too good to be true. But the thing is it's true. It's a fact. Sleep Cream is available at sleepcream.com, sleep, CREME.com. I put it on the insides of my forearms and elbows, maybe the bottoms of my feet at bedtime. And it allows me to do what my body needs to do in order to sleep. I am relaxed. I am comfortable. And within minutes, I'm asleep. Now, I was skeptical. And if you're skeptical, here's the deal. You can try it for a couple nights. If you don't have the results that you like, you get a full refund. No questions asked. You don't even have to send the product back. So that's a guarantee right there. We have a ton of emails from customers that, like me, found this really, really helpful. So try it. Again, nothing to lose. If you don't experience that better sleep, just ask for your money back. Sleepcream.com. Cream is spelled CREME. For the next few weeks, use the code GAMEDAY at checkout, all one word, to get free standard shipping on your first order. That's GameDay at checkout for free standard shipping on your first order. Sleepcream.com, sleep, CREME.com. Are you ready for your best night's sleep ever? Sleep, CREME.com. Okay, so I teased the border. This is a very common sense thing, and I think it's a huge part of why this president was elected. Joe Biden couldn't seem to muster the fortitude to close the borders, to stop the, massive numbers of illegal migrants at the border. And he continued, Biden did, throughout his term to say, A, there's no crisis, B, the border's secure, and C, I need more power in order to do anything about it. Last night, the president said this. Let's roll cut 8, John.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president. Thank you.
So listen, there are mic drops and then there are mic drops. And that was a mic drop. Because he's right. You try to argue it with me. Try to tell anyone that the only difference that like suddenly border crossings are at an all-time low. And there's been no legislation. Well, there's just been policy put in place to do this. That's it. That was a mic drop moment. He also talked about, Trump did, Elon Musk and Doge. And this is really getting under the skin of a lot of Democrats. And you continued to see that last night. Elon Musk was in the chamber. Let's roll it, John.
Combat inflation, we will not only be reducing the cost of energy, but we'll be ending the flagrant waste of taxpayer dollars. And to that end, I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Perhaps you've heard of it. Perhaps. Which is headed by Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight.
Ooh, was that a Heil Hitler he did? No, it wasn't. It was a little salute. Because the things that they're finding that the government spends money on, and I grant you, these may be smidgens of the budget. It doesn't matter. It's your money. It's your money that's being spent on things like this. I can hardly believe. Trump listed a whole litany of things last night that we're spending money on, not just here in America, but all around the world that are so, like, if you were asked, would you like to donate to this? You'd probably go, no. And for those of you that would like to donate, go ahead and donate, but don't spend the rest of our tax money on this. The rest of us should have a say in this stuff. And it's insane. For example, let's roll cut number 10, John.
$8 million for making mice transgender. This is real.
$8 million for making mice transgender. I'm out of words for that one. All right. The other big moment had to do with, again, this is kind of dovetailing off the illegal migration, Laken Riley. And again, no Democrat would stand, cheer, support. We'll show you. Let's roll cut number 11, John.
Last year, a brilliant 22-year-old nursing student named Laken Riley, the best in her class, admired by everybody, went out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia. That morning, Laken was viciously attacked, assaulted, beaten, brutalized, and horrifically murdered. Laken was stolen from us by a savage illegal alien gang member who was arrested while trespassing across Biden's open southern border and then set loose into the United States under the heartless policies of that failed administration. It was indeed a failed administration. He had then been arrested and released in a Democrat-run sanctuary city, a disaster, before ending the life of this beautiful young angel. With us this evening are Laken's beloved mother, Allison, and her sister, Lauren. Last year, I told Laken's grieving parents that we would ensure their daughter would not have died in vain. That's why the very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens who threaten public safety. It's a very strong, powerful act. It's called the Laken Riley Act. So Allison and Lauren, America will never, ever forget our beautiful Laken Hope Riley.
If you're a parent or a sibling, particularly I think if you're a parent, you know that that woman's grief will never go away, ever. I mean, she may learn to live with it day by day, and you could say, well, anyone could have killed Laken Riley. Yeah, that's true. But the fact is, an illegal migrant who had already been arrested and set free again was the one that killed her. And a couple things could have jumped into that sequence of events to have avoided it. And you know that. You know that. Here's something you should know. There's a lot going on internationally. You do know that. And there are things that are unfolding that we don't even know about right now. And one thing you want to make sure you do in all of this chaos is protect your wealth. Take care of your financial future. You don't want to gamble with that. It doesn't matter who's in office. You want to safeguard your wealth. And so relying solely on digital systems and banks may not be the risk you want to take. And that's why I'd advise you to take a look at American Independence Gold by visiting tafoyagold.com, Tafoya gold.com to learn more, or call 833-324-4653. For generations, gold and silver have been the ultimate safe haven, with weathering wars, recessions, and market crashes. And this is more than just owning gold. It's about taking control of your financial future. As a proud veteran-owned company, American Independence Gold goes the extra mile by supporting military families. They cover custodial fees for life on qualifying accounts, and they donate a portion of every purchase to one of our favorite foundations, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Don't wait to secure your future. Act now before it's too late by visiting tafoyagold.com. Tafoya gold, all one word, .com to learn more. Here's the number, 833-324-4653, 833-324-4653, or tafoyagold.com. Make the smart move for your future today. Visit tafoyagold.com. I thought one of the most beautiful moments there, and there were a few last night. Look, it doesn't matter. Again, I always have to throw in the caveat. It doesn't matter how you feel about Trump. It seems to me time and time again, we see Trump doing nice things for people. They can say he's uncivil. They can say he is crass. But his actions are, some of them are just fabulous. This was one. There's a kid named DJ Daniel who, well, let's let Trump tell you the story and you can see what happens here. This is beautiful. Roll it, John.
I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
So maybe the most heartwarming moment there was when Sean Curran, the new head of the Secret Service, he's the director of the Secret Service, got that hug from DJ. DJ's 13. He's always wanted to be a cop. And he was diagnosed with pediatric cancer at a very young age. They told him he'd have about 5 months to live. And here he is, he's 13. He's undergone 13 brain surgeries. And he got that big moment last night. And he's been interviewed since and said he didn't know this was coming. And you could see the surprise and the awe on his face. And that hug was just, it was a goosebump moment. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. MSNBC didn't see it quite that way. And this is an example of how sick this divide is. How sick our country is right now. It needs healing. But if it was up to Nicole Wallace, there was not going to be any healing over this moment, no unifying over this moment. Nicole Wallace of MSNBC was sitting on a set with Rachel Maddow and others and said this.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
She is rightfully getting absolutely obliterated on social media and throughout the media today. Rightfully. I mean, to take that moment and turn it into what she turned it into, her heart is not right. If she has one, it's not right. It is sick. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. I really don't. I hope, Nicole Wallace, that you find somewhere in your life you said you found joy in it, but you found a way to turn that joy into something just sickening and divisive and disgusting. No words. Alyssa Slotkin was the Democrat response, and we'll just play you one bit of her because this is going to be a story that continues on and on. She comes across as sort of a middle of the road Democrat, but she's still capable of saying some pretty outlandish things, as she did in her response. So here is cut number 17, Elisa Slotkin. I'm not totally positive. I apologize, but let's roll it.
President Trump loves to say peace through strength. That's actually a line he stole from Ronald Reagan. But let me tell you, after the spectacle that just took place in the Oval Office last week, Reagan must be rolling in his grave. We all want an end to the war in Ukraine, but Reagan understood that true strength required America to combine our military and economic might with moral clarity. And that scene in the Oval Office wasn't just a bad episode of reality TV. It summed up Trump's whole approach to the world. He believes in cozying up to dictators like Vladimir Putin and kicking our friends like the Canadians in the teeth. He sees American leadership as merely a series of real estate transactions. As a Cold War kid, I'm thankful it was Reagan and not Trump in office in the 1980s. Trump would have lost us the Cold War.
You sure about that? First of all, she says peace through strength is a line that he stole from Reagan. A lot of people have said peace through strength, honey. Yeah, I'm calling you honey because I'm just so sick of this BS. He stole it from Reagan. How about he is adopting it because of what Reagan said was so true? My dad told me as a kid growing up, just like you, I was a Cold War kid, whatever that means. You want to be so special and so resilient. You call yourself a Cold War kid. My dad told me peace through strength because my dad worked in the Defense Department as a contractor for the Defense Department. He helped create things like missiles and for nuclear weapons. My dad was very involved. He used that phrase, peace through strength, all the time. Was he stealing it, Slotkin? Was he stealing it? I mean, that is so stupid and silly. So that set me off right away. And then, Reagan's rolling over in his grave because Donald Trump sees American diplomacy as just a, real estate transaction. She was all over the place, all over the map there. Real estate transactions, really. She referenced the meeting in the Oval Office with Zelensky, which I think we're fairly split on in this country because a lot of people really thought that was compelling to see what actually goes on and compelling to see someone who's been taking advantage of our generosity for all this time. Yes, we want this war to end, but at what cost to everybody? You want to just go on and on and on and on and just keep shoveling money at the problem? I don't think that's the way to do it. So whatever. She made this thing in the Oval Office. Look, we're very split. Democrats think it was appalling and embarrassing and humiliating and never should have happened. And some of us think, I'm glad to have seen this guy called out. This is interesting, the way this discussion is going. And by the way, it sounds like Zelensky wants to come back and sign the deal now. And that's what you call peace through strength. Am I allowed to use that line, or is there like a copyright on that by Ronald Reagan? Sorry, I'm having a tough time getting across from that. And you know what, John, I want to roll cut number D that you picked out, because this also has to do with the Ukrainian war. And this is just another example of how some Democrats look at what has been going on between the United States and Ukraine. This is Eric Swalwell out of California. This is another guy like Adam Schiff. There are certain people in Congress that you go, how in the hell did you get elected? And Eric Swalwell is one of those people. We know that he slept with a Chinese spy. We know that he's not that smart. And we especially saw his lack of brains when he gave this beauty. Go ahead and roll that number D.
If you look around the world, our biggest economic enemy is China. Our biggest geopolitical enemy is Russia. In a matter of 3 years, without losing a single U.S. soldier, we have decimated their military and their economy. It's been the greatest return on investment for any military expenditure ever. And as far as the return on investment for soldiers' lives, it's infinity, because you can't divide zero.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Eric. I hope that moment gets you booted out of Congress by your constituents. How you ever made it in there is beyond me. I'm afraid that good people just don't want to run for office. These choices that we're left with sometimes are just abysmal. Okay, I think we'll leave it at that. Look, I'm going to continue to say be brave, do good every single day. I'm trying to do it every single minute. Have the courage to speak up, no matter how unpopular it might be, but also have the mindfulness to do good at every turn that you can think of. Sometimes we're not always in the mood to do good, but smile at people, thank people, tip people nicely when you can. Just little bits of good, donations, standing up for friends, relatives, giving in sometimes when it's for the best for the situation, forgiving people. So when people say to me, it's do well. No, you do well on a test. You do good in life. So be brave, do good. I liked the speech, and we'll see you next time.
I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.